Welcome to this edition of interviews with Sri RAJIV VIJAYAKAR, who is a national award winner or author of the biography of Lakshmikant Pyarelal, and he also authored 3 more books. So this is a program being organized by Sanchika Web Magazine, a dynamic Telugu web magazine. So today we have RAJIV VIJAYAKAR. Namaskaram, RAJIV VIJAYAKAR.
Namaskaram.
So I'll give you a brief introduction about you to our viewers so that the Telugu readers who may not know about you also will have an idea of the tremendous work that you have done for Hindi film song and Hindi film field. Sri Rajiv Vijayakarji is a correspondent India West USA and writes for Deccan Herald and BollywoodHangama.com. And he is also a consultant and content team member on Hindi film music, Indian music, Experience Bangalore. So I have read all the books that he has written, like the history of Indian film music, which actually I correct myself. I have read 3 of his books. The Indian film music, the history of Indian film music, I could not get hold of, and it is out of print. And he will be in our conversations telling about the book and the latest edition that is going to come out soon. And I've read his Dharmendra, not just a half He-Man, and also My Shire To Nahi, and the latest book, Lakshmikant Pyarelal, which won the national award. So here I'm very happy and proud to have Rajiv Vijayakarji with us, telling us about the film music and the history of film music, etc. So Rajiv Vijayakarji,
Thank you, and all my wishes to all my listeners.
and so before we actually get to discuss about Hindi film music and Hindi films, I would like to know that I came to know that you were a dentist. And how did you come to Hindi film music, and how did you get interested in Hindi film music, Hindi films?
See, you don't become a dentist before you're 21 or 22.
That's a good answer.
My interest in Hindi cinema and music was from the time I must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old, because my I was the only son. My parents were hardcore film buffs, and we used to have records, few records, not all. And the radio used to be on, Radio Ceylon, Vivid Bharati, whatever was there, and listening to Hindi film songs, and identifying with them. Now I am a Maharashtrian. My mother tongue is Marathi. We are from Mumbai city, but my father was in the Reserve Bank, so he was transferred all over the country. We have stayed in Bangalore when I was about 5 years old. We have stayed in Chennai twice. We have stayed in Delhi. We have stayed in Kanpur. Now, as film buffs, the only connection my parents had with Mumbai was the Hindi cinema. And of course, Hindi film music and the Radio Ceylon and Vivid Bharati, which were heard everywhere. So I was literally brought up on a staple of Hindi film songs and Hindi cinema. And even as a child, I mean, I was probably 12, 13, whatever. I used to read a lot of film magazines. All the film magazines firstly used to come in our house. There was Screen, there was Filmfare, there was Star in Style. In Chennai, there was this small magazine which used to come out for decades called Picture Post.
Mhm. Picture post.
Then there was also Stardust and occasionally other magazines. So I was very, very keenly reading up everything and used to watch films, watch the credits, see the comparisons. Like, even at that age, when I was about probably around 12, I would notice that whenever these lines, music Lakshmikant Pyarelal or music Shankar Jaikishan, would come, which was very frequent because SJ and later LP were at the top. I mean, other music directors also. See, in those days, almost every film had great music. Even the flops had great music. Even the small budget films had great music. Even the films without stars had great music. But when I saw these two names, I instinctively sensed that music thoda better hoga. And this is a 12-year-old boy thinking who doesn't have any bias or any favorites.
I'm interrupting you.
Yeah.
Which is the first film that you remember and the song that impressed you? First song that impressed you in your childhood?
No,
Actually,
See, before that, before the release of any film, we used to have records and, of course, the radio programs. So I don't remember in especially, but there was this when I was very small. I used to remember this song called "Mera Naam Raju"
Oh,
because my name was Rajiv, and a lot of relatives used to call me Raju.
ah,
You know, so that fascinated. उसका record भी था घर पे. And so many others. चाहे कोई मुझे जंगली कहे, प्यार किया तो डरना क्या, वगैरह वगैरह. And then I used to notice all these things subconsciously. Then another thing I started noticing was music, Lakshmikant Pyarlal
yeah,
lyrics, Anand Bakshi.
yes,
See, that combination. So I remember asking my father as a small boy, I said, what are lyrics? So he said, these are the actual words of the songs. So all those things gradually I became, so by the time I was about maybe 14, 15, 16, I used to read all the reviews and music reviews and all that, basically music articles were there written then only by a couple of people who have passed away since. So sometimes I used to disagree with their opinions, with the opinions of the music, with the opinions of the movies. So I started writing my own reviews of movies and music, but
not
obviously,
published, not
not.
sent anyone.
Yeah. In fact, I never even showed my parents. I used to just keep them in my drawer.
Mm.
And that's how things went. I mean, Binaka Gitmala, I used to make sure that I was there every Wednesday. If there was a function in our something which required attending, 9 out of 10 I did not attend. I told my parents, I said, I have to hear this program. And I used to even jot down 16 songs of every week.
Mm.
You know. So gradually वो बीमारी बढ़ती गई. And
It is a good bimari.
whatever. But it's also a coincidence that कहीं ना कहीं मेरा, you can say, karmic relation with Hindi cinema, because
That's a
not
good word. Karmic relation.
no, because I'll tell you, because not only my parents
Mm.
were hardcore film buffs. Of course, they used to see Hindi, English, Marathi films, all of them. And I used to accompany them even for the others, and they never used to see adult films because they couldn't take me along. So the first house where I was born was just behind one of Mumbai's major theaters, which is still there, Maratha Mandir.
Maratha Mandir, yes.
Yeah. Then when I started my first clinic, my own place, my own premises. I used to work in rented places before. I came to know that the original landlord of that building was Mr. Anil Biswas.
Oh,
Yeah. Though he was no longer the landlord.
yes.
And the third thing is, my wife came from a family in a suburb called Malad,
Mm.
which was right next to Bombay Talkies, very near Bombay Talkies.
Mm.
And her grandmother, my wife's grandmother, was a great friend of Devika Rani,
Okay.
who used to visit her, and my wife's grandmother used to make her hair,
Mm.
not for a movie, but
Just
personally.
friendly.
Yeah. So all these were filmy connections. वो होना था वो हो गया ना.
Yeah.
That was destined. Then coming to my practice, I'm a dental surgeon by qualification. Uh, there were some problems in the place where I was practicing, water problems, some other, and I slowly and gradually became a staunch believer in Vastu. So when there were three patients within a month, telling me that my clinic's Vastu was not well, correct, and my practice was also showing
Decline.
zigzag graph.
Mm.
And there were other problems from the my own place. Means it was a pagadi place in Mumbai. There is a pagadi system
Mm. Yes.
where the place actually belongs to another one person, but you pay him a rent and a deposit. And when if you sell the place, one third goes to the landlord, the owner. So then I decided I was in, because I was writing full time and I was practicing 6 to 7 hours a day. It became very stressful with all the problems going on. And so I decided to shut shop and rely only on my
Mm.
backup, because I was doing both journalism and practice full time for not just 1 or 2 but 15 years.
But it was a very brave and a very game-changing decision.
Yes.
I can understand.
Income wise, there is no comparison.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand because I have been working in railways for the past 35 years, and every second I wanted to leave railways and concentrate on my writing. But I have retired recently, so I can see so much of burden gone away, feeling so free. So I can understand your decision, but it was a risky decision.
It was, that's what I'm saying. But see, at that time, my I have two daughters. My elder daughter was in about to enter medical college. She's a postgraduate in homeopathy.
Mhm.
And again, all these things added up to a very stressful
Yes.
situation. 5 hours of sleep and
Mm.
all these problems every single day and all that. So, I thought that I should at least take care of my mental well-being.
That's correct. And it's a very bold decision, a
But
decision which I could not take.
at that time, I had established myself as a fairly well-known name. Of course, all the books and the other things,
Mm.
my twice being going into the National Award jury
Mm.
as a panelist, as a one of the judges, jury members, and all the other things. My research paper, which you spoke about, which was, see, in 2013, Hindi cinema celebrated its century.
Yes.
So there is this University of Edinburgh. There is a section called the South Asianist, which is about South Asian cinema, not just Indian cinema, South Asian cinema. So I had somebody I knew there who was not only a student but also a faculty member.
Mm.
So he said we are coming out with this issue of special issue of a magazine which they anyway have, but they were coming out with a special issue to mark 100 years. So he said, "Ki, why don't you write something for us?" I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Anything about which will interest the global people, everybody, not just Indians or Asians, or something they don't know so much about Hindi cinema." So the first thought which came to my mind is, everybody says Hindi cinema is song and
Yes.
dance,
In a
nothing else.
derisive way. In a derisive way, they say.
It's a derision. So other than Raj Kapoor, Lata Mangeshkar, Satyajit Ray, Amitabh Bachchan, hardly they know anything. And so I said, why don't I write on the role of a song in a Hindi film? Because it's a part of the story, it's a part of the narration.
Yes.
Except now, in the last few years, things have gone, I think, beyond repair in Hindi film music.
Yes.
Hope that repair takes place somewhere.
And we
But
will discuss that in detail in our future conversations.
yeah, but it's actually little to discuss because the whole mindset has changed, the audience as well as the filmmakers.
But
So, so
I have a doubt. How can you say that the audience mindset have changed? Because the same audience who are listening to the latest songs and dancing to their beats are also listening to the old soulful melodies and enjoying them.
true, but see, we have to think of the mindset because here it's all money driven. It was always money driven, but there was some sensitivity, and sensibility in the money driven thing. So, but that I think has reduced. But anyway, that's another topic, like you
Yes.
said, for another day. But what was I saying?
You were discussing about your research paper on the
Yeah.
role of a song in a Hindi film.
So my friend was very excited about that. I said, what should be the word ceiling? Because that's the journalistic thing we always have to
Yes.
follow, 1000 words, 500 words, 1500 words, 2000 words. So he said, no, no, there's no restriction. You write whatever you want. So I actually came out with whatever I was feeling, and given examples and all that, photographs and inlays and all that to tell you my point, to tell the global reader my point. And so it came out in that journal, And my friend later told me that my article, my whatever you call it, research paper, is, I think it should be about more than 3,000 words. I have not counted the words. It is now, this is 2014 or late 2013, is now on the syllabus.
Wow.
Students of South Asian cinema.
Congrats.
So that was something unexpected, and that
But can you
showed that
briefly tell us about the research paper? What is in it? The
it was
gist?
all about, like I said, no, you will have to read it because I've said everything about what a song is, why it is there, examples, how what is the structure, who are the best or the most famous names in music and filmmaking,
Mm.
and along with the changes in trends, how the song has evolved. Sometimes for the worse, mostly for the better. See, again, it's talk. We are talking about 12 years back, so it's in that context.
Okay. But
After that, we know what has happened.
so you
But
trace the history of song right from
also,
1930s.
history also, where I have said this is why the song began to exist. See, in a foreign film, songs are only there in musicals. I mean,
Yes.
songs as in our kind of songs, lip
Mm.
sync songs, situational. They
Mm.
are only there in musicals. Otherwise, there's a song or two somewhere in the background,
Yes.
or some character is playing on the piano, or there's a gramophone record being shown, or something like that.
Something like.
So only Hindi films you see songs even in action thrillers
Yes.
or in horror movies. In horror movies, that ghostly song has a special place.
Yes. Lata Mangeshkar.
Lata Mangeshkar in particular, correct.
Mm.
So, yes, have discussed that. You have to read that paper. And
But is it available on net?
yeah, of course.
Okay, then I will go through it, and then we may have a in-depth discussion about it in our future
All
conversation.
you have to do is Google South Asianist,
Mm.
ASIANIST,
Mm.
South
Mm.
Asianist.
Mm.
Just my name, and you'll get it.
Okay. Thanks
Yeah.
for the information. Even our reader or viewers will be interested in knowing it, that it is South Asianist and Rajiv Vijayakar. You have to type on Google, and the research paper will open. Let
Okay,
us
so
hope
now
in our
you have to
next
have patience. You'll need
next
it.
conversations we will involve other viewers also, so that they can also ask you certain questions and inquire. Now, yes, everybody has opinion about a song in Hindi films. Some very what you call volatile opinions are also there. So, in your opinion, of all the music directors, I know you have some partiality towards Lakshmikant Parallel and Shankar Jaikishan in a way, but in early music directors, each music director has a character of his own, with a distinct stamp as own music directors. Then how do you rate this music director is the best and that music director is not?
I don't rate it that way, but let me tell you something. One, your favorites. Now,
Yes.
suppose your favorite is some small composer like, let's say Usha Khan,
Hmm.
or your favorite is Bappi Lahiri or Nadim Shravan. See, you don't have to defend your favorites. Why are they your favorites? You have not decided कि ये favorite है, so I'm going to like all his song. Like today people do with, I'm sorry to say, Rahman.
Yes.
अरे बहुत अच्छा गाना है, क्यों बहुत अच्छा, वाई, टेल मी वन टू थ्री व्हाट इज ग्रेट अबाउट, अरे रहमान का गाना है, दैट्स नॉट द आंसर. If you love it for whatever reason, but you come to know who's your favorite after listening to everybody and everything, and then where you mentally resonate, that is the real key. So for me, Lakshmikant Behrlal, Shankar Jaikishan are favorites because I related maximum to them.
Yeah.
Their song, I connected. Their choice of singers, their choice, and see, then that is one part. Now the second part is the objectivity. I've done a article. I think it came in screen. I don't remember whether it's still there online. How to assess a composer.
Hmm.
You know. Now there are some clinical parameters. Now clinical parameters in how much speed. There's this belief that if you do less work, it's better. No.
Hmm.
One person brushes in 30 seconds, another one takes 5 minutes, doesn't mean that the 5 minutes one is better.
Yes.
One person takes a bath like Bakshi Sahab, Anand Bakshi Sahab told me कि कोई 2 मिनट में नहाता है, कोई 15 मिनट में, तो जरूरी नहीं 15 मिनट वाला has taken a better bath or made himself clean. So this is inspiration. This is creativity. It can come in second, as we all know. Some songs have taken months, literally months, because some aspect is not being satisfied. I remember Naushad Saab telling me that "Pyar Kya To Darna Kya," the whole song was ready except for the last verse. And when he sat with Shakil Badayani for the last verse on the terrace of his sea-facing bungalow, the sun was setting, and they used to write, tear papers, this, that. And he said, we didn't even think of anything. We just, water was given by my family. We didn't think of food. And by the time we had locked the final verse, the sun was rising. Only for the final verse. So that is inspiration, you know. So there are parameters. How do you adapt to trends is a very important parameter. You know, you can't say that नहीं वो जमाने के लिए मैं म्यूजिक बनाऊंगा ये I can do only Indian, I can't do Western or vice versa. The range, the range is very important for any creative artist in any creative art,
Yes.
you know, popular art, जो आप which you're going to show to the viewer or to the listener, you know, whether it's not just a composer but even the lyricist, the director, the actor, the film writer, for that matter any author, you know,
Yes.
you automatically respect authors who have written one novel in one genre and another equally good novel in a totally different genre.
Yes.
So versatility is the key. So there are these clinical parameters, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that even in the clinical parameters, Lakshmikant Behrlal and Shankar Jaikishan were topping.
Okay.
You know, and of course, everybody is great in his own way. My personal rating is SJLP at the top in any order,
Yes.
followed by SD Burman, followed by Kalemji Anandji, and then everybody else.
And where does Sri Chandra stand in it?
See, that's what I'm saying. Everybody else later on.
Mm.
But C. Ramchandra's music, by the time we came to the 70s,
Yes.
was quite dated in sound, you know.
Yes.
He was absolutely stunning. I remember Mahendra Kapoor telling me that the first time he went to meet Shankarji of Shankar Jaikishan, when he was struggling,
Mm.
and he said, Shankarji told him, you have recorded for Naushad, because this is what Mahendra Kapoor told him. You have recorded
Yes.
for Naushad, this, that.
चांद
So,
छुपा और तारे डूबे.
huh. So he said, I am not interested in that. But because you have recorded for C. Ramchandra,
Mm.
I will give you songs. Because that man, hum sabka baap hai. These are his words,
Mm.
as told to Mahendra Kapoor, as told to me.
Mm.
So, but the issue again is not just C. Ramchandra. See, honestly, not only what I said true is music. Sounded a little dated. Like today, if you go to see Nadeem Shravan's music, will sound dated today,
Yes.
not Jatin Lalit's, and they were contemporaries.
Yes.
You know, so that dated element apart,
Mm.
I have not been as familiar as the rest of Sri Ramchandra's work,
Mm.
because many of his films did not have popular music, or they did HMV had not released their albums by the time,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I started actively following film music.
Mm.
So, but I know that he is one of the legends,
He's one
because
of
not only Shankar Jaikishan but even Lakshmikant Behrlal
mm.
used to speak about him very highly. So it's not that and I am luckily I started writing and doing interviews in an era when even if some great composers were no longer active, they're at least alive to tell
Yes.
me. I have met Ravi Saab more than once. I have met Naushad Saab at least 4 or 5 times. I have met Nayyar Saab,
Mm.
and those meetings were unforgettable. Obviously, I met Lakshmikant Behrlal, Galenji Anandji, R.D. Burman, and the later composers. But meeting these people was an experience of its own. But there also, I was not lucky enough to meet Anna, because he passed away in 1982, which
Yes.
was about a decade before I started doing interviews.
Actually, you. seem to have met almost all the who is who of the Hindi film music and Hindi film done. In a way, I'm highly envious of you. But I have a doubt. Was there any fan moment, like you wanted to meet certain music director, certain writer, or certain singer, and you met him? And was there a moment of awestruck?
See, the first thing I think, because I'm not somebody who's trained in journalism or, I came into it because of my passion and my liking.
It is a natural progression.
Chance. I got the chance. So I think the first vital thing for any journalist is to keep his fanhood away. It's like, people say today that, say, let's say, today actor like Ranbir Kapoor is working with Mr. Bachchan. He has to forget that he is Ranbir Kapoor and that man is the
Yes.
Bachchan, because you have to get into your character. You have to come across as right for your character without bothering the samne wala. That's just the interaction, which is their chemistry or whatever. So I have never gone to somebody thinking like this, that I am your fan. Obviously, when like I said, when I came into this line, and my first attempt, though I was struggling, I didn't have a name. Publications,
Mm.
I went to publications, various publications like Filmfare, Midday, etc. And I used to suggest names of people I always wanted to meet because I was their fan.
For example.
The list was very long. It started with actors like Rishi Kapoor.
Mm.
You of course, some of them I really took a long time to get through, like Mr. Dharmendra
Mm.
and Dev Saab, Shami Kapoor. But they were on my hit list, so to speak. So there are directors like Raj Khosla,
Mm.
Rishikesh Mukherjee, you know, few I could not somehow meet, chain of events, never could meet like Vijay Anand sir.
I was about to ask about Vijayanand.
So, but I met B.R. Chopra, I met Yash Chopra, I met Prakash Mehra. Again, I somehow missed meeting Manmohan Desai. I met Manoj Kumar, I met, Nanda, Sadhana, all these wonderful ladies, Asha Parekh. I'm talking about now only the seniors.
Yes.
Pran, Johnny Walker. So I tried to do that. I tried to do that. But whenever I met them, Anand Bakshi, Majru Saab, Indivar, you know, whenever I met them, Hasrat Jaipuri was the first lyricist I ever met. So these Manna Day, and of course Latabai, Ashabai, Usha, and Usha ji and Mahendra Kapoor. But among my favorites, luckily, I was never put off by somebody कि ये इतना अच्छा कलाकार है लेकिन is not a good person. That never happened, luckily with me. So I don't know whether I happened not to meet the wrong people, but it was very. I met Shashi Kapoor after a very very long time because he told me, "I am not an actor now. I don't want to do any interviews." So I didn't know what to do. But the way he said no to me on the phone was like somebody else saying yes. He was so courteous, so positive, and you feel disappointed when somebody tells you no, I don't want to meet.
Mm.
Their reason may be genuine, but you feel disappointed. But
Yes.
with Shashi Kapoor, it was the reverse, and then that strengthened my resolve to meet him. And luckily, what happened? We many years later, Prithviraj Kapoor had his centenary. So I called him up and I asked him whether he was ready to speak on his father, and he called me the next day, and we were together for more than an hour and a half. You know,
And how was
and
it meeting Lata Mangeshkar?
Lata Mangeshkar was good, but it was just one meeting and two more small interviews on the phone.
Mm.
But she was nice. I mean, we didn't hit it off that well because the time was less.
Yes.
But once she promised me 20 minutes on the phone, and we were speaking for 40.
So
So I guess that if we had met, it would have been,
different.
yeah.
And regarding the film song, how much the song, the life of a song, depends on the picturization.
How many films have you seen? How many songs you have heard? That should answer your question. Most people have not even seen the films.
Mhm.
The lyrics, I think, are number one factor.
Mhm. Lyrics.
This has been verified and confirmed by not only lyricists saying that the lyrics are the most important, but more important, music directors
Mhm.
of across every generation.
Mhm.
It's not just Kalanji Anandji or just Preetham. It's all of them, the whole range. Rajesh Roshan is saying that it's the lyrics which make the song live on.
Mhm.
Get relatable to your life, identifiable with your life, and so that is, I think, the most important part of a song, whether it is written to tune or whether it's written first. That is
Does it make a
immediate.
difference, like whether it is written to tune or
It doesn't, because most of our lyricists were masters at doing it both
yes?
ways.
Mhm.
Now, speaking of composers, Shankar Jaikishan in the two Burmans, and yeah, these two main, they always 90% the tune came first. With Ravi Saab and Kalyan Jananji, 90% the words came first. With Lakshmikant Bearlal, it was a 50-50.
Mhm. Again, you
You know,
manage both. Mm.
yeah, which I think is very important because you have to decide. See, for Lakshmikant Bearlal, the situation, now I have interacted extensively with them, a little more extensively than with others. I have interacted extensively with Kalyan Jananji also. But Kalanji Bhai passed away very early, so in that sense, thoda restriction. But and I've interacted extensively with Andu Malik, Nadeem Shaban, Rajesh Roshan, Bappi Lahiri, Preetham, Himesh Reshamiya, Shankar Aisanla. But in for Lakshmikant Pyarlal, the situation was God. So what Lakshmiji told me many times and emphasized, he said, see, for us, it was not about projecting ourselves, our knowledge of music, our knowledge of ragas, our knowledge of classical. When classical was not needed, it was not needed because they followed the ethos of Shankar Jaikishan. See, every time you don't have to showcase what you can do. Joe, some other music directors I won't name now used to do. Okay, I can do this. See what I've done. Even today's music directors have that. Some of them have that. Attitude. See what I've done in this situation. The situation is God. The filmmaker's demand is God. The distributor also has to fit in. The actor has his likings, actor or actress. Then we have to think of everything: the orchestration, the budgets, the scale of the film. So what Lakshmiji used to do, firstly, they used to pay Latabai part of her remuneration from their own pockets because Latabai's rate was very high and she never compromised. So they used to pay from our own pocket. If they felt their composition needed a Lata Mangeshkar instead of a Asha Bhosle, Usha Mangeshkar, or whoever the Symphon Kalyan, whoever the singers, great singers, but not in that class.
Lata is Saraswati.
Huh. So that is one. The second thing they said that when we got Bobby, मैं शायर तो नहीं. Rishi Kapoor's first look at Dimple.
Mm.
Okay. So he said many of our senior composers would have composed a very shairana kind of ghazal, with poetic words and all. Arey. So we had to think of the character. This is a Punjabi boy from a prosperous family who has been sent to boarding school for most of his school life. Would such a person have a great knowledge of Hindi and Urdu? No.
Mm.
His main language would be English and spoken Hindi. You know. So what did they do? They twisted it. मैं शायर तो नहीं मगर ऐ हंसी जब से देखा तुझको मुझको शायरी आती. So and that simple melody, you know, this almost it's an Indian melody, rag based, but thoda Western feel, in the orchestra. So that is what I'm saying. Okay, there is another situation if you watch this super hit movie called Swarg Se Sundar.
Mm.
Jitendra and Jayaprada and Mithun and Padmini. And there is a song in that. अपना घर है स्वर्ग से सुंदर.
Yes.
So that the hero says this line. It's a duet. Kishore Asha. The heroine says, स्वर्ग में कहाँ से आए मच्छर? Mosquitoes. And the hero replies, मच्छर भी तेरे आशिक है क्या करूं, you know. So you can't show your musical credentials when the situation demands
Yes.
something else. So that is what a film composer and a film lyricist is all about, and that is why I say that that was the biggest कॉम्बिनेशन. आई थिंक ऊपर वाले ने उन तीनों को, चारों तीनों को बनाया था और भेज दिया था तैयार होके. द विजनरीज, यू नो.
Mm.
एंड ऑफ कोर्स एवरीबडी इज लाइक दैट. आई मीन, आई कैनॉट डिसमिस द फैंटास्टिक वर्क विच Majru Saab has done, Indivar ji has done, Shailendra has done, Rajendra Kishan has done,
Mhm.
and all the other lyricists after them. Now, these are my top five names.
Okay.
And Neeraj ji and Nida Fazli also said that among the lyricists, Bakshi Saab is there at the top.
But I'm surprised that Sahir doesn't figure in this.
No, Sahir figures at number six for me. I'll tell you why.
Mm.
See, because Sahir is a little bit, I'm sorry to use the word hype.
Hype.
You know, वही वही रीजन है. आप पोइट्री देते हो, शायरी देते हो, गजल देते हो, वो काइंड ऑफ थॉट्स देते हो, बट सिचुएशन इज गॉड. Majru, Indivar, Shailendra, Rajendra Kishan, Bakshi Saab never forgot this.
Yes.
Sahir occasionally did. Sahir even projected his own beliefs into the songs.
जिंदगी सिर्फ मोहब्बत नहीं कुछ और भी है, जुल्फो रुखसार की जन्नत नहीं कुछ और भी है.
And it's not about showing off your language.
Mm.
It's about situation is God. Majru Saab can write the songs of Chanti Ka Naam Gaadi
Yes.
as well as he can write Dastak.
Majru is like water. He can
Correct.
take shape of any vessel that is poured into.
Everybody, all these five great names I suggested. Indivarji. I mean,
Yes.
Indivarji can झोपड़े में चारपाई या चंदन सा बदन.
Yes.
See the range. Rajendra Kishan, I think very underestimated.
Yes.
The problem with Rajendra Kishan is everybody knows his song, but nobody knows he wrote it.
Yes.
You know, he's the one lyricist like that who has written everything from मेरे सामने वाली खिड़की में to और जरा सी दे दे साकी to शायराना stuff. You know,
Mm.
which he wrote for Madan Mohan Ravi LP.
Yes.
You know, so Shailendra above all, means Shailendra is in a class of his own. He was a leftist. So was Majru Sultanpuri. So was Sahir. But Shailendra and Majru never let it come in the way. They have written lyrics for ऐसे situation जिसमें सारे लोग रईस है.
Mm.
They are capitalists with a capital C. The story is capitalist with a capital C, about rich people, but that has not interfered with their work. They have not shown कि इसमें क्या रखना है, हमारा belief कितना ठोकना है. See, Neeraj ji told me a very interesting thing when I met him.
Mm.
He said, everybody says that the poet is superior to the lyricist. And जो भी poet, whoever has come in the film industry, it's to make his financially secure position, you know, because he can't earn much from only poetry. So whether it's, Majru, Sahir, Indivar, they all came to Kafi Saab to become, you know.
Yes.
So he said, see, I rate a lyricist higher than a poet. So I said, why do you say so? He said, a poet writes for himself. I think of something, I write it. मुशायरा में, कवि सम्मेलन में, it's appreciated. What does a lyricist do? He has to show his skills, his artistry, his range and versatility,
Mm.
while keeping the director's preference, the producer's preference, the distributor's preference, the trends of the time, the composer's preference, the actor's liking or dislikes, the needs of a situation which has not been created by him, which he'll probably never face in his life,
Mm.
and still show his
Talent. Mm.
talent and skill. So he says that's why I rate the lyricist far higher than a poet. And on his own, without my mentioning anything, he said, और जो सिचुएशन की पकड़ आनंद बख्शी को है किसी को नहीं. Now, this is the testimony of somebody who's considered the greatest poet of the 20th century.
Yes.
You know,
Neeraj.
it's not empty words. It's not me, Rajiv Vijayakar, saying it. It's Neeraj Saab saying it.
Mm.
So one day, you know, when I was interviewing Nida Fazli Saab,
Mm.
I asked him, he mentioned some uh, lyricists he was impressed by. which included Anand Bakshi's name. So I said, ये सब लोग तो they are all poets intrinsically, but you have mentioned Anand Bakshi. Why do you think that Anand Bakshi deserves a place along with the Majroos and the Sahirs and the the Shailendra and the people? Though I don't remember all the lyrics. He said, see, he has experienced life in all its colors. He has actually sat around the bonfires in the village, hearing the song, folk song these people used to sing. You know, he's actually seen life in every level, and somewhere that kind of exposure to folk gives you greater depth than a poet or a shair. These are again his words.
These are first.
Huh. So this is what a poet lyricist is. He's a very underestimated source. So therefore, coming back, he's the most important factor for a song. Otherwise, India में instrumental music नहीं चलता.
Yes.
Why? Because there are no words to connect with
Mm.
your life or your or the audience. So, whereas these current names, they are only hindered by the lack of environment,
Mm.
the lack of good filmmakers who can present a situational lip sync song, sometimes background song. We have had great background songs at all times.
Mm.
So ये लोग जो है ये नॉट ओनली ओरिजिनल है किसी को फॉलो नहीं करते इनोवेटिव है
Mm.
तो they all have their idols.
Yes.
I believe Swanan loves Gulzar Saab, Manoj Muntashir adores Sahir, um, अपना who's the other one I mentioned? Amitabh Bhattacharya was once a Gulzar fan.
Mm.
He
Not
is still.
once.
No, once means he was heavily into Gulzar kind of writing,
Mm.
but he also has done uh, all kinds of writing. He's very versatile. Irshad Kamil again is a Sahir admirer. So Kumar is a Anand Bakshi Bhakt. But I think though they are devotees of these legends, they have their own contribution in the content, their style, their phrasing, and they are not people who are inspired like the clones, like Kumar Shanu and is Kishore Kumar, like Mohammad Aziz and Sonu Nigam or Mohammad Rafi. You know,
Here, while you were telling me all these things, I have a small doubt like this. Why this current generation of artists were unable to create their own niche like Mohammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar, or the lyricists that we mentioned discussing earlier? Even though they are equally talented and highly, they have more opportunities like now.
you are right when you say more opportunity. More opportunities are divided among so many thanks to the TV talent competitions and the fact that anybody can today there is auto tune available आप बेसुर हो तो थोड़ा pitch correction हो सकता है and so there's too much of a supply
Mm.
so there is not like and there are no teachers
No teachers.
Naushad
Mm.
Shankar Jaikishan S.G. Burman Lakshmikant Behrlal all these Kalenji Anandji I remember Sivamani who is a
Kamal.
famous
Mm.
percussionist.
Mm.
He's a percussionist. Technical name is because yeah. So I interviewed him somewhere in 2010, 11, whatever. So I was asking him about his beginnings in Hindi movies, and he was also active. I believe he must be doing occasional work even now. So his range, he began with R.D. Burman, Lakshmikant Behrlal, went on to Bappi Lahiri. And then when I met him, he was working for A.R. Rahman, Shankar Ehsaan Loy, etc., etc. So I asked him, I said, what do you see as the main difference between those that generation
Mm.
and these people? So instantly he replied, he said, the older generation was like a banyan tree under which you could take shade and learn.
Mm.
So he didn't just say this empty sentence, he qualified it. He said, ये लोग मुझे बताते थे कि क्या बजाना है
Mm.
There is a song which they have composed, they have structured the orchestra, and here at this part, I need your contribution. You have to play this. You play this with your drum, but they have conceived, composed, and created that part. He said today's generation usually, there are some exceptions, usually say कि इधर इस beats में there is a space. You compose something and fill it.
Oh.
So the onus is on you.
Mm.
That was the difference. So all these things, they have come together. Like I remember Nitin Mukesh telling me in my first interview in the 90s that the reason why uh, old music is, you know, what
Still.
it
Mm.
is he gave it just one single word. He said destiny.
Destiny.
He says it's all destiny that all the great composers, lyricists, singers, and filmmakers who take out the song from you, they all existed at a particular stage in our cinema. It doesn't happen now. You know, today we have one Sanjay Bansali
Mm. And he himself is giving music these days.
because he's not getting what he wants from the others. It's true. Subhash Ghai told me, I said, why have you now changing your composer with every film? You unbroken 9 films with LP.
Yes.
So his answer was that LP were like a mall. You could get anything you wanted.
Mm.
Now I have to think which music director will suit which subject. Will it be Nadeem Shravan or A.R. Rahman or Sukhwinder or somebody else? Annu Malik. So he said, I have to think of my subject.
So is that why his music actually has gone down after he left Lakshmikant Parallel?
I wouldn't say that. There was excellent music in Pardes.
Okay.
There was good music in Yade. Though the film didn't do well, so the music didn't do well.
Even Tal has certain good music.
Tal had good music in parts.
Mm.
A couple of good songs also in Kisna. But yeah, in a way, what you're saying is right because see that is where the emotions come in. Now, it's not about Lakshmikant parallel being Lakshmikant parallel. It's about your emotional rapport, how you understand each other. Like I'll mention one story told to me by Kavita ji Krishnamurti. That there was this recording of Khudagawa, and लक्ष्मी जी सडनली टोल्ड हर इधर जो गैप है ना वो ऐसे काम करते यू डू दिस अलाप on the spot in the Mehboob Studios itself.
Mm.
You do this alap here, something, and on the spot he composed and said, oh, Kavita ji thought it was a good idea. So she thought of rehearsing that and, Tarabai came running from, because he used to sit next to the recording engineer in a
Mm.
different part of the recording studio. He said, Lakshmi, I was thinking, why don't we keep an alap here?
Mm.
See, that is the rapport.
Mm.
The mental, क्या बोलते हैं वो?
Matching of wavelengths.
Yeah. So
Matching of
that
wavelengths.
should be there even to an extent on
Mm.
with the filmmaker and the composer. And the composer and the lyricist. Like Anand Bakshi used to think of the same thing Lakshmi ji was thinking around the same time. You're right.
In earlier, there were teamwork like Lakshmikant Parallel, Anand Bakshi, Shankar Jayakishan, Asra
Yeah.
Jaipuri, Shailendra. But now they don't seem to be such teamwork.
No, there are, but they again it's the environment. Pritam likes to work essentially with Irshad Kamil and Amitabh Bhattacharya.
Mm.
Shankar Ehsan Loy used to prefer Gulzar and Javed Sir.
Mm.
So there are some examples. Sajid Wajid, when they were active, used to prefer Jalis.
Mm.
He was a good writer and unfortunately passed away prematurely. So ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं है, but
Not as distinct as earlier. Like even
that that musical team has to be backed by a filmmaker and a star
mm.
to be really effective.
But now even no singer. Actually, the singer and actor combination also is not as powerful as it was like Shami Kapoor, Mohammad Rafi, Raj Kapoor, Mukesh.
Because there's no this thing. No? There are forces which sit on you.
Mm.
Like there was, Shah Rukh Khan still prefers Pritam.
Mm.
Amir Khan has recently developed a liking for Pritam when he has gone through the Anand Milin A.R. Rahman phase.
Mm.
Salman Khan always used to prefer Himesh and Sajid Wajid. But that emotional connect, then the commercial thing sitting on their heads. Today, I am told that the scripts which are presented to the leading stars are first chosen and vetted by their managers and PRs and
Oh.
even the agencies.
Mm.
So that is not the right way. Vani Kapoor told me that he had an emotional relation with LP.
Mm.
He said he broke down when Lakshmi ji died. You know, so that emotional thing is missing. That is why he could not get the same result with all the 6 or 7 good composers he worked with later on. Anand Milin, Anu Malik, Himesh, Rahman, one film or two films, Nadeem Shravan. That was not there. That something was missing. It became a mechanical association,
Yes.
which again was according to the film and the director. Mani Kapoor is a producer, but he used to look into his music. Now, when you have different directors, you have a Satish Kaushik, a Rajkumar Santoshi, a Raj Kamar, or anybody, you have to think of their preferences also. But here, whether the director was Bapu or Shekhar Kapoor or Satish Kaushik, Bonnie had this connection with LP, the father also. So, वो घूम घूम के क्यों अटक गए एलपी पे? See,
And
there are
most of the
so many music directors who went the whole round and came back to LP
yes.
or came back to Shankar Jaikishan or came back to Kalanji Anandji.
So
There
actually,
is something they missed, no?
actually, there is a lot to discuss with you. The 1 hour that or 45 minutes that we have
Yeah.
just gone in as if we, and there are a lot of questions that are to be asked. So I'll term this conversation with Rajiv Vijayakar part 1. So we will
Okay.
have many more conversations, of course, with about your books and about other things about Hindi films. So thank you very much, Rajiv Vijayakarji, for assenting to participate in our conversation. Hopefully, this is the beginning of many more wonderful conversations to come. Thank you very much. Thanks for participating. And viewers, this is a part 1 of the conversation with the National Award winning author Rajiv Vijayakarji. We'll meet soon with part 2. Signing off, Kasturi Muralikrishna.
Thank you and good day to all listeners. And thank you, Murliji, for having me.
Thank you. So now it is up to you. When can we have another schedule or something like that?
We'll
Hmm?
discuss on the phone.
Okay, we will discuss, and then whenever you say, because we, as per your convenience, we will have our programs.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
but I want many more.
Okay.
You have really whetted my appetite. Hmm? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.